What's up, everyone? It's Bones here. If you're a fan of banishing your opponent into the deep sea, exotic fishies, and playing on your opponent's turn all while synchro summoning, then this might be a video for you. But first, if you could gently push those thumbs up and subscribe buttons into the water, it would mean a lot in helping me stay afloat. Card combo that this deck really kind of has, and I would also like to mention Runic Ghoti video will be saved for a separate. There's a lot of combos that can be done separately to this one, and I also want to feature the new cards that we'll be getting in Phantom Nightmare with the Ghoti stuff and the white aura cards, but we're going to send our Shift off of the Lifeless Leaffish, go on to our opponent's turn after we use the Shift, and then on our opponent's standby phase we can bring back the Shift, and at any point during your opponent's turn, whenever they do anything, in this case it's just going to be a normal summon, you can use the effect of your Shift, quick synchro into the 6, I'm not going to try to pronounce its name, but now we can use the 6 in order to banish a fish from our deck, and we're going to be sending our Moonlight, and this is the first new Ghoti card that we'll be getting in Phantom Nightmare. It reads, if this card is normal or special summoned, you can add one fish monster from your deck to your hand, except Moonlight. Then banish one fish monster from your hand or face-up field. If this card is banished, you can banish one fish monster from your hand, face-up field, or graveyard, except Moonlight. Special summon this card. You can only use each effect of Moonlight once per turn, and this is a really cool card that you'll see being used in a ton of different ways throughout this video. And to continue here, we'll then be able to use the Moonlight in order to banish the Shift, which sets us up for the next turn also, which is really nice. But we'll then be able to use the effect of Shift on the field as we'll add ourselves the Zep. Then we'll be able to revive the Zep off of its own effect as it was banished during our opponent's turn. And now we can get that quick synchro effect as we'll go into our Askin. And one question besides the Chainlink 1 level 6 and the Chainlink 2 Askin is that had we not used our banished effect of the Moonlight and sent something else off of the level 6 while having this on field, you can banish this with your Askin, which allows you to then plus off of the Askin as well. But we're then going to add ourselves the Lifeless Leaffish, and you can add yourself anything else depending. We're going to then revive the Askin as we're going to banish the Zep for it, and from here we can then pass on to our opponent for whatever they have left. Now this next combo features two of our new cards. The first one is a continuous spell, White Reincarnation. It reads, when this card is activated, you can add one fish monster that has an effect to treat itself as a tuner from your deck to your hand. Once per turn, if your white aura monster attacked at the end of the damage step, you can activate this effect. The attacking monster can make a second attack in a row. Once per turn, if a level 8 or higher fish synchro monsters is special summoned from your graveyard, even during the damage step, you can destroy all monsters your opponent controls. You can only activate one White Reincarnation per turn. So a really cool card here for the white aura stuff. And then we have the White Sardine, and it reads, you can send one White Sardine from your deck to the graveyard, special summon this card from your hand. Also, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of this turn, except water monsters. You can only use this effect of White Sardine once per turn. If this card is special summoned from the graveyard, you can treat it as a tuner this turn. And this is a really cool card because it's like a mini Magician's Souls engine that you can play that doesn't require another brick to play since you can just use other copies of itself. But we're now going to be able to activate the White Reincarnation. We're going to get ourselves yet another new card, White Sunfish. It reads, if this card is in your hand, you can target one level 4 or lower fish monsters in your graveyard with the same name as a card you control. Special summon this card, and if you do special summon that monster, you can only use this effect of White Sunfish once per turn. If this card is special summoned from the graveyard, you can treat it as a tuner this turn. So we're going to start here by using the effect of the White Sardine, sending another copy of Sardine to the graveyard. Then we can special summon out the Sunfish as we'll be able to revive the Sardine as well. And then we can turn it into a tuner. This enables us the level 6 synchro for the archetype as we can now use effect sending ourselves the Moonlight, and then we can use the Moonlight's effect banishing the white, or depending on the scenario you can also banish the Sunfish, but we'll then be able to use the effect of the Sunfish or of the Moonlight as we'll add ourselves the Abyss Shark. We'll then be able to banish our other copy of the White Sardine. We'll then use the effect of the Abyss Shark special summoning itself. We'll add ourselves the copy of Lifeless Leaffish that we can normal summon, then use its effect in order to get ourselves the shift to the graveyard. Use the effect of shift targeting whichever monster you would like to. We'll then go into the Kragan, as we'll then be able to pass on to our opponent's turn with the setup of the shift in the banish zone, which will bring itself back during the opponent's standby phase. And then at any point that your opponent does something, you can use the effect of shift. This will give you the ability to go into your Askin, use the effect of the level 6 and the Askin Chainlink 1 and 2. And this is what I was talking about earlier, where you can banish your Moonlight along with whatever else you want to banish from your opponent in order to get more pluses. But we're also going to get the other level 6, the Snopios, or however you say this, and we're then going to be able to use the effect of the Moonlight, which will banish the Askin. And this is just really cool because then the Askin also gets to revive itself off its own effect as we banish the shift, giving ourselves follow-up. So that's really strong there, as we'll then be able to use the effect of the Moonlight, add ourselves the Zep. We'll then be able to banish the Zep. Since it's our opponent's turn, we can revive it, giving us access to another Synchro Summon, as we'll then be able into the White Aura. You can go into the copy of Ghoti Beyond the Deep, whatever else you want to do, as we'll then also show off that you do have one more interaction that you can do here with the Snopios. And with this, I'll take you on to the next one. This next combo is our next kind of one card combo. It's really a 1.5 card combo, but in this one it's going to card combo because we're going to be featuring our newest card, or one of our newest cards, Haze of the Ghoti. It's a level 2 non-tuner fish monster, and it reads, if a fish monster is on the field, you can special summon this card. If a monster is special summoned to your opponent's field, you can target one of them and one of your banished level 6 or monsters, banish both that opponent's target and this card, and if you do, special summon your targeted monster. During the standby phase of the next turn, after this card was banished, you can special summon this banished card. You can only use each effect of Haze once per turn, and this is a really cool card because you can do stuff like bring back a lifeless leaf fish that you banish off of the Moonlight, and I just thought that was a really cool interaction, even though I'm not going to use that in this video. But we're going to special summon out the Supe by discarding the Haze. Then we can use the two monsters on board in order to go into our level 6 Ghoti. We'll then banish the Moonlight. We'll be able to banish the Haze, bring back the Moonlight. Moonlight will then be able to search ourselves the Paces, and from here we'll then be able to go on to the next turn, where during our opponent's standby phase we'll be able to get back the Paces along with the Haze, and this will give us a plethora of options as we have the Haze that we can use as a disruption, and I again won't show that since it can be kind of dependent on what you're playing into, and I just don't want to put random stuff into the video and just show what you're really always going to go for instead. But we're going to go into the Askin here, as we'll then be able to get the banish off of the Askin, as well as the ability to get the level 6 search effect. So we're then going to banish the Moonlight along with the Paces, and then we'll be able to use the effect of the Moonlight, banishing the Zep that we searched off of the Paces banish from the level 6, and then we'll use the Moonlight along with the Zep. The Moonlight will then be able to add ourselves a copy of the Snopios. We'll then banish it, as we can then use the Snopios effect, banishing the level 6 Synchro. We'll also be able to get the extra Synchro Summon as we go into the Glim, or however you pronounce it, and then we'll be able to use the Snopios to get itself back to hand, and then at any point that you want extra disruption, you can banish fish from your graveyard, special summon out the Snopios, and then you just have another way to disrupt your opponent with this still on board if you haven't used it. For this next combo, we'll be featuring Paces along with Abyss Shark, and we're going to start this one by normal summoning the Abyss Shark, or the Paces, special summon the Abyss Shark, get ourselves the lifeless Leaf Fish so that we can now special summon it off the Paces, use the effect of the Leaf Fish in order to send ourselves the Shift, use the effect of Shift, and now we just have our turn set up for our opponent's turn, as we'll then be able to go to the standby phase, bring back the Paces and the Shift, and then from here we'll be able to start doing Synchro Summoning the minute that your opponent does anything that you want to respond to. So we're going to go into our level 6, much like the previous ones. We'll be able to get a ton of effects off as we're going to Synchro away into the Askin, banishing our Moonlight, use the effect of the 6 in order to banish the Paces and get another search, use the effect of the Askin, which will banish the Abyss Shark that we kept on board, along with whatever else you want to banish from your opponent's side of the field. We'll bring back the Moonlight, we'll banish the level 6 for the Snopios, and then we'll be able to use the effect of the Moonlight, getting the Zep, banish the Zep. The Zep can then revive itself, as we'll then be able to use its effect to grow on our opponent's turn into the Glim or the White Aura Whale, whatever else else you want to go into, and then we can use the Snopios at any point during your opponent's turn for that extra disruption. And with that, I'll take you on to the next combo. Now this next combo features the White Sardine along with Abyss Shark, and I want to show this off just because when you have the White Sardine and the Abyss Shark has the ability to get yourself a level 4 fish, which means you can get yourself the Sunfish. So just like the White Reincarnation, you access inset that you have an extra body to go with it. So we're going to bring back our White Sardine off of the White Sunfish, go into our level 6 Ghoti, use the effect in order to get ourselves the Moonlight in the Banish Zone, banish the White Sunfish in order to bring back the Moonlight, use the effect of the Moonlight, which will get ourselves the Sunfish, banish the Abyss Shark since we don't need it. We'll then normal summon the Leafless Life Fish, or however it's called, and we'll get its send effect as we're going to send the Shift. Get the effect of Shift so that we can get it back during our opponent's turn. We'll then go into Anemone in order to free up some space here. You can go into another link too if you would like to, but it really depends on how you want to end your board. I'm just going to show this so that you can clear space, bring back the Lifeless Leaf Fish, and then you can go on to your opponent's turn where you'll be able to bring back the Shift. And I believe that we also have a Pacey's Banish. Don't quote me on that. No, we don't. So we're going to see our opponent do anything, and then we can use the effect of Shift in order to go into our Askin. We'll then be able to get the effect of the Askin along with the level 6 as we'll banish this Moonlight along with whatever else you want to banish from your opponent's side of the field, as we'll then be able to get ourselves the Snopios, use the effect of Moonlight, banishing the Shift. And this is just something really cool about the deck, that when you play on your opponent's turn and you start banishing stuff like Shift, it means that it's going to come back on your turn. And if you're able to keep this stuff on the field, it just gives you levels that you can synchro away with, helping you kind of give that snowball effect on your opponent so that you can try to help yourself win the game from there. But we're then going to use the effect of the Moonlight, get ourselves the Zep. We'll then Zep. Since it's our opponent's turn, we can bring it back. Quick synchro. From here, you can go into a 6 or a level 8. But I am going to a new White Aura card, Porpoise. It reads it takes 1 water tuner, 1 non-tuner monsters. And I advise if you go this not to search this, because you kind of do want bodies on board. But I'm only going into this for the video. You'll normally be going for another level 8. And if this card is synchro summoned, you can special summon 1 level 4 or lower fish monster from your hand or graveyard in defense position. Then you can special summon 1 monster with the same name from your graveyard. You can only use this effect of Porpoise once per turn. If this card you control is destroyed by an opponent's card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can banish 1 other water monster from your graveyard, special summon this card, and if you do, it is treated as a tuner. So we're going to be able to revive the White Sardine, and we'll get the other copy of it as well. Use the effects in order to turn themselves into tuners, which just give us follow-up as well, which I thought was pretty cool. But with this, I'll take you on to the next one. Now, this is another really cool 2-card combo that we have, and this just takes the field spell plus the Moonlight, as we can now use the field spell in order to banish the Moonlight. We'll then be able to get ourselves the Pacey's, use the effect of the Moonlight to banish the Pacey's, then we can use the effect of the Moonlight in order to get ourselves the Leaf Fish, and now you can normal summon the Leaf Fish, and this gives you access to your 1-card combo. If you notice, there's something different, which is that the Moonlight is banished this time around, and it really doesn't matter since we can just banish the Shift here. We'll go on to our opponent's standby phase where we'll be able to bring back the Pacey's and the Shift. And from here, we'll be able to play on our opponent's turn still, as whenever they do something that you want to respond to, you can use the Pacey's, go into your level 6, and instead of the level 6 banishing the Moonlight, you can just banish the Zep, bring back the Zep, and then you can quick synchro into an 8 or any other if you have another monster that you can sway with. But we're going to go into our use the effect of the 6 along with the Askin. We'll banish the level 6 so that we can get ourselves the Snopios. We'll then be able to banish the Askin as well, reviving itself off of its own effect as we banish the Pacey's in the graveyard. And with this, we can then use the effect of Shift to get that extra quick synchro. Use the effect of the Ghoti Beyond the Deep if you would like to at any point during your opponent's turn. And then the extra disruption that you have is the Snopios, which just allows you to get that extra form of disruption during your opponent's turn. Now for this next combo, I wanted to feature all of the special summons that we kind of have in the deck here, and we're going to start here by using the White Sardine, sending another copy of itself. We'll then be able to special summon out the Abyss Shark. We'll then be able to add ourselves the copy of the White Sunfish, use the White Sunfish, reviving the White Sardine, along with special summoning itself from the hand, use the effect of the Sardine turning itself into a tuner, go into the Ghoti level 6 synchro, banishing the Moonlight, use the the effect of the Moonlight, banishing the White Sunfish, bring back the Moonlight, as we'll then be able to add ourselves a card, and then banish it, as we'll then be able to banish the Abyss Shark this time around. We keep the Shift so that we can normal summon it, and then go directly into a Dragite. So just something that I want to show there. If you haven't used your normal summon, that's something that you have. But then we can banish the Shift, give the attack boost to our level 6 Ghoti, special summon out the level 2, give it extra ability to either synchro summon or just keep the disruption into our Anemone so that we can then use its effect in order to revive the level 2. And then we'll be able to go onto our opponent's turn where we'll be able to bring back the Shift. And I also think that we might have a Paces there, or I don't think so, but we'll normal summon whatever our opponent does, and then we'll be able to use the effect of Shift for that synchro summon, as we'll go into our Asken, use the effect of the level 6 along with the Asken. We'll be able to banish whatever you want to from your opponent's side of the field, as we'll then be able to banish the Moonlight from the graveyard in order to get ourselves the Snopio. Use the effect of the along with the Asken. If we're going to banish the level 6 Synchro, we'll be able to get ourselves the copy of Moonlight, use its effect so that it can get ourselves these up, giving us another form of interruption here, or just interaction in general. But we're going to then go into the Glowglim, as we then have the ability to Snopios at any point during your opponent's turn for even more disruption, and you still have the level 2 Haze that still hasn't used its effect, which can bring back one of your level 6 or lower, I think it is, and that can be either your Abyss Shark, that can be your Synchro, that can be your White Sunfish. If you do have the Lifeless Leaf Fish, it can be that too, so that's just really cool. Now, with all of the combos out of the way, I would like to get onto the test hands, and when you have full hands, there's a few different things that you can do, and this first hand will show that quite a bit, as we're going to use the Gold Sark, and Gold Sark is really good with the Moonlight, as you're just able to get that extra banish, and then special summon it, use its effect on field to get the Paces, banish whatever else you have in hand unless you banish what you search, and then we're going to use the effect of Paces, special summon out the Zep. We can then use the effect of the Haze as we'll special summon it, and then go into our Fish Lamp. This is yet another new card that, if you notice, I didn't feature in any of the combos. This is something that I don't quite think you're going to be going into a whole lot unless you're playing with the entirety of your hand, but it takes 1 tuner plus 1 non-tuner monsters. It's a fire level 4. You do have to keep are some cards that do water lock you though, and if this card is sent to the graveyard as a synchro material, you can special summon 2 lamp tokens, fish, fire, level 2, attack and defense 0. Also, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of this turn except fish monsters. If you control a fish synchro monster, you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target 1 card on the field, destroy it. You can only use Fish Lamp once per turn. It still is a very powerful card. It's just that there is a lot of lines of play in Ghoti that kind of bypass this, and it makes it so that it's not something that you're always going for, but it's an option that's definitely nice, as now we can go into our Chengying with it. We'll be able to get the tokens off of it, and then from here we'll be able to pass on to our opponent, where now we have our tokens that can be used for synchro summoning along with the Paces and the Shift that we ended up banishing, and we even have the Haze as well, which we won't really end up using for synchro summoning, I don't think here, as we're going to allow our opponent to do anything. Then we can use the effect of Paces. We'll synchro summon into the level 6, use the effect of the level 6, banishing the Zep, use the effect of Zep bringing itself back, as we'll then be able to get the quick synchro off of Zep, go into the Asken, use the effect of the level 6 along with the Asken, banishing itself along with the opponent's card, and then we can also banish the level 6 in the graveyard so that we can get ourselves the Snopios. In this case, we banish the Moonlight, and we'll also be able to get the banishes for the Moonlight and the Paces, I believe it was, or the Asken, as we'll be able to bring back the Moonlight along with the Asken, and then we'll use the effect of the Moonlight in order to get ourselves the Shift, banish the Shift, use the effect of Shift, get that quick synchro on our opponent's turn, go into the Glowglim, and then finally at any point during your opponent's turn, you have 2 forms of interruption left, with the Haze as well as the Snopios that you can summon at any point during your opponent's turn, even banishing more cards. You'll notice that I did banish the Fish Lamp there. That's something that you don't want to do, but in this case, I'm just showing it to remind that it's something that you do have access to in this deck. Well, for the final hand, before I get into the deck profile, and we'll be starting with kind of an awkward hand since we open 2 one-ofs and a hand trap, and then we have the Haze and the Paces, which only get us so far. I would like to point out that the field spell can play heavily into hand traps, so you kind of do want to limit how much of those you play, in my opinion, but we're going to special summon out the Ixeep, normal summon out our Paces, use the effect of Paces, special summoning out the Moonlight, use the effect of Moonlight, which will be able to add ourselves a Shift, banish the Shift, set the Imperm, go onto our opponent's turn. Now we have a level 4 and a level 6, with 2 of our tuners banished, along with the Haze banished as well, which means that we'll be able to get all 3 of these back, and then at point on your opponent's turn, they do something that you want to respond to. Like all the previous times, you can start quick synchroing. We'll go into the level 6, use the effect of the level 6, banishing the Zep. Zep will give us the ability to get another quick synchro. From here, we can go into the Asken. We'll use the effect of the level 6 along with the Asken, banishing the Moonlight along with the level 6. We'll then be able to get ourselves the Snopios. The effect of the Moonlight, banishing the Paces from the graveyard, as we'll then be able to revive itself. Its effect in order to get ourselves the Leaf Fish, as we'll banish the Haze. We can then use the effect of Shift quick synchroing in order to go into the Guoglim if you would like to. Then have the Snopios that we can use in order to banish cards from the graveyard so that we can special summon it and get yet another disruption for our opponent. With all of the combos out of the way, I can finally take you onto the deck profile, and you'll notice that we do play Crossout even though I didn't show it in any of the combos, and the reason for that is that I just didn't want to add more cards to the combo, and I just wanted to show the Ghoti on white aura cards overall. But this is something that you can use in order to banish stuff like your Paces, your Haze, your Shift, and then you can get it back during your opponent's standby phase, so that's really cool. It's essentially just another 3 copies of Gold Sark, but just don't go banishing your Moonlight or something like that. You won't be able to use its effect. And as for the ratios that I kind of want to talk about, see that we're only on 1 field spell, 1 trap, 1 Ixeep, 1 Moonlight, and 1 Snopios. I think that these are all cards that you only need at 1. Ghoti traps aren't something that I don't think you're really searching much anyways, so I'm totally missing something. If you can banish this in any way, get it back off the Ixeep, that's kind of cute. Then you have the 2 level 6 that they are level 6s at the end of the day, and they're very searchable. You can banish them very easily off of the level 6. I don't see a reason to play more than 1 of each. Then you'll also see that packages that we play 4 copies for each package, and that's the Supe package. We have the 3 Supe Duskwalker and the 1 Supe, and then we have the white Sunfish and the 3 white Sardine, noticeably missing from the deck that we don't have the white Reincarnation. The reason being is I didn't want to overfill the deck with consistency cards when you already have a bunch of cards that this deck can combo with quite easily. For consistency, the most important cards that you probably have are the 3 Crossouts, the Supes, the white Sardine with the white Shark is also really nice. The Lifeless Leaf Fish, of course it's a 1-card combo, but it's still a normal summon, or a special summon off of Paces, but it's not something that I don't think that you really fully want to commit to at 3 because of how easily accessible it is. And everything else I'd like to think is pretty standard. We only play the 2 Sharks because it's like if you want to play 3 copies of the Leaf Fish and you want to play 3 copies of Shark, and just play 4, and it's like playing copies of the Leaf Fish or playing 2 Sharks with the 3 search targets that if you draw into them anyways, you can combo off regardless. And for the extra deck and all the options that we have, you'll see that we're only on 1 Ghoti Beyond the Deep. I know that a lot of builds play 2, and it was really just to make space for the SP Little Knight and the Typhon. If you don't want to play these, you can add another copy of this. There's also stuff like the Ice Jade that you can play. There's also the other white aura cards. Then you also have the Marincess and the Area, I think it's called, yeah, the Water Charmer, that you can play in substitute of it. It really just depends on the meta and what you're playing against. There's also other cards that you can play like Thrust and Talent in order to combat hand traps, as Nibiru and Ash can also be pretty detrimental to this deck. I would like to point out that you can also get nibbed on both turns, your turn and your opponent's turn, with this deck, kind of like Tyr used to, so that is something that you should be very wary of. Then there also is the 4 traps that we have here. floodgates that you can play next to Shifter, which this is kind of a Shifter deck since you banish a whole lot. Outside of that, I don't have much else to say, so I'll just take you onto the card by card. And we have the 3 Supe, the 1 Supe, the 2 Lifeless Leaffish, the 1 White Sunfish, the 2 Abyss Shark, the 3 White Sardines, the 2 Shift, the 2 Zep, the 3 Paces, Called by the Grave, the 2 copies of Haze, the 1 Field Spell, the 1 Gold Sark, the 1 Ghoti Fury, the 1 Ixdeep, the 1 Snopios, the 1 Moonlight, the 3 Shifter, the 3 copies of Droll, the 3 copies of Crossout, Imperms. Onto the extra deck, we then have the Fish Lamp, the 2 level 6 Ghoti Synchros, the white Porpoise or whatever other level 6 you want to play, the white Aura Whale, the copy of Dragite, Guoglim, the 2 copies of Askin. We then have Cheng Ying, which can be another copy of Ghoti of the Deep if you would like to. Then Ghoti of the Deep Beyond. We then have the Kragan. We then have the Typhon, SP Little Knight, and then we have Abyss Keeper or any other Link 2 that you would like to play. For everyone who's made it this far into the video, I'd like to thank you for watching and for the 600 plus subs. I truly appreciate your support. Now that we've monetized the channel, giving us access to supers and memberships means that more awesome stuff is on the horizon. To get the channel membership, just click on the description below and there will be a link that takes you there. You'll also notice a free Discord link that I've made for us too. If you want to support me as a content creator, even if you can't donate supers or get a membership for the channel, clicking on those thumbs up and subscribe buttons help a lot too. For those wondering, I do plan on making updates to the channel part on the channel grows. Anyways, I hope to see you on the next one. It's Bones, signing out.